Good evening and welcome to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel and I'm very, very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest evolving around the world of sports. On the show today, we shall take a look at Team Nigeria preparation ahead of the Olympic Games in Paris and also take a look at the latest in revolving the beautiful world of transfer. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the short break.
Goal. Goalkeeper's missed it.
Play again.
Oh, fight for him. He does a right hand and down goes Paul straight away. That's where
Oh, what a point to end it on.
So now gives us winner after best. And winner 12 years for this. So drink it in.
Still goes to New Zealand.
Do I need love to be immortality as an athlete? 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome back to Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Joining me on today's edition of the show is Emmanuel Michael. Michael, good evening to you and welcome to another exciting edition of Sport Extraordinary.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers out there.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the latest, as it concerns Scrabble down here in Nigeria as organizers of the 4th edition of the Governor Do You Do It National Scrabble Championship have disclosed that the total prize money will be 6.5 million naira, with the most valuable player in the Masters category taking home 750,000 naira star prize and a trophy. The 3D Classic, which usually attracts national and international Scrabble players, is slated for August 23rd to 25th in Yenagua. Chairman of the Bayelsa State Scrabble Association, Mr. Daniel Alabra, confirmed the new date after consultations with the Nigerian Scrabble Federation. He said this year's edition will feature 5 categories, which are a Masters, Intermediate, Veterans, Opens, and secondary school students that are based in Bayelsa State. Michael, what do you make of this particular edition of the Scrabble Championship? 6.5 million naira, of course, at stake for this one.
It's a huge money for me. Coming into the world of a sport that is relatively unknown in this part of the climb, talking about Scrabble, I think we must give kudos to the Bayelsa State government as well for their initiative and the deliberate action towards also helping the sport to grow itself. I think it's another way by helping the sport to grow as well, attaching a financial incentive to it. We even help players, taking part in this one to take it very serious and make it a mainstay for them. And for Bayelsa State, they are growing in leaps and bounds, and when it has to do with sport development, they've actually made wrestling one of their own sports out there. In fact, when the National Olympic Games kickstart, I think most of the wrestlers that is headed for this very one all camped at Yenagua, Bayelsa State, with a exception of some of them that is based outside the country. So for me, talk about wrestling, I think Bayelsa State is doing pretty well, and they want to take it much higher. That is why they've also, taken it upon themselves as well to attach monetary incentives to Scrabble, which is not a popular sport in this part of the climb. If they can make it one of their own, then be rest assured when we gather for any sporting festival here in the country, I think Bayelsa State will be among the list of states here that will definitely win silverware or hopeful of silverware in terms of Scrabble out there, because they are growing in leaps and bounds. So for me, I think it is a nice one for the Bayelsa State government. I think generally take a look at the Bayelsa State government and their giant strides in terms of sport development in the state. If you want to say yes, it looks as though they've been able to take a critical note of the fact that sport is one of the greatest influencer or employer as well of labor across the globe, and that is why they are not leaving anything on any stone unturned toward ensuring that they develop sport from all strata. I think other states as well can also take a cue from this. We hear their next plan of action is to also deepen and expand the level of swimmers that they've churned out in the state, because Bayelsa State is one of the riverine region, which I believe there are so many divers, so many swimmers that should come out of this state that is situated within the riverine region. So for me, I think other states as well should also take a cue from what Bayelsa State is doing in the area of sport development.
Impressive one. Let's see how it goes. The Scrabble Championship, of course, we told you will come up next month, that's August, and we're seeing the very best, in this particular one. Now, we're also going to report that the former UFC heavyweight champion has, talking about Kamaru, bigger pardon, Francis Ngannou, of course, has made a return to MMA. That's mixed martial arts, after having some interesting bouts, of course, in the beautiful world of boxing. We saw him fight the likes of Anthony Joshua and as well as Tyson Fury. But as it stands, the man has made a return to mixed martial arts. Michael, Francis Ngannou, back to mixed martial arts.
Yes, I think for me, more like maintaining the status quo antebellum before he actually left outside the comfort zone of mixed martial art to delve to the world of boxing. For me, I think this is where he truly belongs, and having made a whole lot of fortunes in terms of money for himself, despite losing those 2 fights, 2 professional boxing fights. But then I think he's having a very large pocket as he stands right now, because of the, hard currencies he made in that very one. Going back to the area that is very familiar, I think it's a good one for him. I believe right from the, onset that he should have not even left the you know, octagon, because that is where his strength lies. You know, it's a different rule altogether between the MMA and the boxing. You can't punch below the belt. There are danger lines and all of that. So for me, I think he was just trying to delve into different arena. He wanted to take a try, you know, in some other areas, which is not totally different from boxing, but you know, a little bit of changes in the rules out there and the skills, because you can't use legs. You know, you can't actually elbow somebody, you know, and all of that. But then he came, he saw, but he couldn't conquer in the world of, you know, boxing. Then I think he made the money quite well, going back to the area that made him popular, that he was able to build this fame before even thinking of venturing into boxing. He's a good one. Let's hope that he picks up from there, you know, and continue to build his career back into what he used to be.
Well, what do you make of, you know, the two bouts, you know, we saw in boxing, of course, for Francis Ngannou? We saw the one against Tyson Fury, where he almost knocked him out, and the one against Anthony Joshua. Of course, Joshua almost, you know, finished him in that particular one. But what do you make of it with those bouts? You think if he, you know, continue in boxing, he can possibly maybe stand a chance of becoming maybe one of the best, you know, in the world of boxing?
First, I think I want to take a different, you know, dimension, a different thought altogether. Becoming a name to be reckoned with in terms of boxing, you know, if he had taken it much higher, taking a look at his age, what he stands for, I do not think that he should have been able to make any, you know, headway in terms of boxing. There's so many boxers, you know, very young and very talented boxers across the globe, even from the middleweight down to the featherweight, that are yet to make, you know, heavyweight bout or the WBC belt, you know, challenger or contender are there, but then they are very good and even better compared to some octagon fighters, because it's a world of boxing, it's a different ball game altogether. So even if he had continued to pursue his dream of becoming one of the, you know, big name in the world of boxing, it would have been a very difficult one for him. We have Zelezian,
even trained by Mike Tyson.
It doesn't mean we have Zelezian coming up, Joshua, Anthony Joshua hoping to bounce back, Tyson Fury not dead and buried yet, you know. So for me, a whole lot of boxers, you know, that is still very much around, you know, that would have been able to push him back to where he truly belonged for me, which is the octagon. So even if he had given everything to ensure that he makes that name in the world of boxing, it would have been also very difficult to climb through the ladder and also beat some of the biggest name in the world of boxing as it stands right now. So I think for me, the right thing is, as like I said earlier, he came, he saw he couldn't conquer, but then he made a fortune, he made a lot amount of money, and he's going back to the field that is very, very popular, and which I think for me is to be very comfortable with. So, you know, adventuring further to pursue a professional boxing career at this age, he wouldn't have been able to make it, you know, to that high zenith where you begin to refer him as one of the great in his generation.
All right, so let's see how it goes for Francis Ngannou. Returning back to mixed martial arts, I hope, you know, he gets, you know, himself right at this point, and look forward to see how he can continue his impressive performance down there in the mixed martial art. But away from that, let's bring the latest from the Olympic Games, as Toby Amusan's selection as Team Nigeria's flag bearer during the opening ceremony of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games on Friday has been described as well-deserved by Nigerians. But Michael, I don't know, what's your opinion on this?
For me, for Toby Lola Motion, if you take a look at her record so far this season, I think it's been very impressive, despite the hurdles that she passed through earlier in the year when we had the issue of doping and all of that, missing 3 whereabout tests, that she actually, you know, suffered a whole lot, even heading to a very major championship that actually blighted her performances out there, which made her to finish 6th. I think for me, ever since then, we saw her impact as well at the Diamond League, how she was able to continue, you know, to give a good account of herself. So for me, if there's any one athlete that you can be rest assured that we are very hopeful of giving us any silverware at this year's Paris Olympic game, I think it's no other name than Toby Lola Amotion, which for me, I think she truly deserves to be the flag bearer of Nigeria contingent.
That would have been probably the likes of Aruna Quadri, maybe Blessing Obo Dudu, that have done at least had some impressive outing at the Olympic Games?
Most time it doesn't happen that way. You know, it's just like in a game of football. Most time there are players that have stayed in the team more than any other player, but a certain player comes in that has leadership quality and you are given the captain armband. That is what it means. That is how these things work. It's not about how long you've been into the system. It's not about how many Olympic Games, you know, that you have attended. If not, I tell you, some of the players that captain their various team or club side, you know, in Europe today wouldn't have been a captain if you want to consider the longevity that you have stayed in a certain club. It's about the leadership quality for me. And if you have the leadership quality, it doesn't matter how long you've been there. So long as you possess this charisma of trying to lead a team in a way that there wouldn't be a rancor in such contingent, I think you qualify, you know, to become the flag bearer, which for me, I think Tobilola Amosun represent. Because taking a look at her interviews, even when she was seriously pressed by the International Olympic Committee or the anti-doping agency, whenever she comes to the press to give an interview, she's always very calm, very cool and very collected. That is how you get to know a leader, that under pressure you are still able to maintain your cool and do the right thing. All about professionalism, and Tobilola Amosun represent all of this, and that is why for me I give a nod for her to be chosen, you know, as the flag bearer for Nigerian contingent.
Tobi Amosun, the flag bearer for Team Nigeria, the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games. We'll see how that will go for her. But away from that, head coach of Nigeria's female basketball national team, the Tigress, Serena Wakama, has named the squad that will be defending the colors of the country at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Forward Ami Okonkwo, who has been an inspiration to the team after claiming most valuable player honors at the FIBA Women's AfroBasket 2023 and impressed in a big way at the FIBA Women's Olympic Qualifying Tournament 2024 in Antwerp, will be spearheading the squad to the Olympic. The Tigress received a huge boost in the back court with the return of Izine Kalu, another class out who has already delivered at the biggest events, including Tokyo 2020 and the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2018. Blair will resume her position as a leader in the absence of the team captain Sarah Oguke, who won't be at the tournament for personal reasons. Izine Kalu returned to the team after missing the trip to Kigali last year. Alongside her will be Elizabeth Balogun and Promise Amo Kamara, who are both capable of putting up numbers in terms of scoring and, in the case of the latter, dishing out dives. Also, 24-year-old Ebo was also part of Lauren Ebo was also part of the Olympic Games in February, and is heading to the games with the Tigers of Nigeria, Nico Eno Abose, and the likes of Majunatu Musa, Funaya Okoro, some of the players, of course, in the list in that particular one. Michael, what do you make of the names we've seen in the list of Rena Wakama?
Well, for me, there are no strange names. Almost all of the name about, in short, almost all of them, exception of maybe 3 new addition into the squad. These are regular names that we've seen their impact in the past, and we saw how good they were in the Afro Basketball Championship, which they actually won. I think for me, the likes of Izine Kalu, regular name, one of the greatest player in the squad. You know, Ami Okonkwo, very, very stable, very statistic and consistent for her club side as well. Have the charisma for leadership as well. So for me, I believe all the names that have made it for this year's list under Rena Wakama are truly deserving, you know, to be there. There are some of the names that you know, came back into the squad, though not that they were left aside, but then because of the, you know, wrangles between the Nigerian Basketball Federation and some of these players in the past, that made some of them to maybe take more like a break away from the team. But then I think all that has been resolved. Most of them are back into the squad right now, and this is what we need. We need to unite in common front as well at this point in time to get a gold medal or a silverware, though that might be very difficult looking at the group that we find ourselves. But then Is it achievable? If you ask me, with the squad that we have, I think we can, surpass our previous outing of having not won a single game at the Olympic. I think this time around with this very squad and having had that cordial relationship and that synergy between the coach, talking about Ren and Wakama, because you need to have a coach that fully understand where the shoe pinches you as a player, before you can be able to manage them. Why? Because you treat them more like a mother and daughter. There is this good relationship among the players and the coach. And when you have this kind of, good rapport among players and coaches, it also makes the job even more easier for the coach as well to pass his or her instruction to the player. So I'm very hopeful that the D-Tigress is going to surpass their previous outing.
As it goes, of course, for the D-Tigress of Nigeria, we hope they surpass their previous outing. Still talking about the Olympics and preparation for Team Nigeria. Team Nigeria medals. We hear the Nigeria Olympic Committee has set an ambitious target for the coming Olympics in Paris, aiming to secure at least 12 medals at the Olympic Games. This goal was highlighted by the Nigeria Olympic Committee Secretary General Tunde Popola during an interview with newsmen. Take a look at this, Michael. 12 medals, the target for Team Nigeria. According to Popola, he did not really state the colors for the medals. He said it can be in gold, it can be in silver, it can also be in bronze as well. What do you make of this target for Team Nigeria?
It's a very low target for me. Very low target. You compare that with the number of contingent, number of athletes that we've taken to this year's Paris Olympic game. I think for me it's pretty low. Sending about 87, athletes to represent us in about 12 different sporting strata, and we are targeting just 12. Whether it is only 12 gold medals alone, is it good enough? I think for me, not good enough. When you are boasting of about 80 something, this is the highest in the history of Nigeria's Olympic team heading for an Olympic. The number in size, the highest we had was 56 athletes. This year alone, we are talking about 88, but one boxer dropped because of the injury he picked. So we are heading there with 87 athletes. Out of the 87 in 12 different sporting strata, you are now expecting 12 silverware. I mean, it's for me, it's too poor. Out of 80 something, if you are aiming for 30 silverware, maybe possibly 15 gold medals, then bronze and silver can jostle between the 15 remaining silverwares. I think that would be a good target, but setting 12 as a target, I think for me, it looks more like a joke. Taking a look at the amount of money that have been pumped into this year's contingent, and funds have been approved, and the sport minister is doing a lot to ensure that the athletes or our contingent lack nothing. So is that a way to pay us back after spending so much, into this year's Paris Olympic game, and also boasting of one of the young and talented squad, a mixture of experience and youthfulness in the history of Olympic game? I mean, for me, this is one of our greatest strengths and one of our greatest squad heading into an Olympic games. And 87 in numbers, we are targeting 12 silverware. It's for me too poor. Like, we keep celebrating the Atlanta 96 contingent. How many silverware did we even won? 6 in total. That include 2 gold medals. But today, the record lies there. You can always refer to the Atlanta 96, no matter how old or how young you are this day. When you hear the word Dream Team or Atlanta 96, something definitely strikes you in your heart that this is the year that Nigeria were able to put themselves in the map in terms of the taking part in the Olympic game. So for me, if we had achieved six silverware at Atlanta 96 down till 2024. Take a look at the age disparity, and take a look at the number of athletes that we are sending forth this year, and we are targeting 12 silverware. I think we are joking.
All right, that's what it is at the moment. This is coming from the Nigeria Olympic Committee Secretary General that they are aiming at 12 medals at the Olympic game. This state the color. It said might be gold medal, 3 might be silver. It might also be a bronze medal. So we keep our fingers crossed and see how this one go. But how fair is this target, for Team Nigeria? And Mike, talking about, the targets and talking about medals as well. The women are always up there whenever it comes to, the Olympics, for Team Nigeria. And this time, even the woman is a flag bearer, as it stands. And if you can't mention the names, names of athletes that could possibly, of course, grab those medals, the women are always there. Mention the likes of Toby, Blessing Obrodudu, Ese Brome, and the rest of them. I don't know. Between the male and the female, who do you think will turn out more medals? Because the women, the females they've been there, several times.
Well, for me, I think I will still go for the female here because going through record is very clear that ever since we start attending, the Olympic, the females have always, made their marks. Talk about the lives of the Choma Ajumas of this world, Blessed Nokagbares of this world. Name them. They've always been, female names that have always. Made us pretty proud, and I'm not expecting that to change right now, because if you take a look at the names that we have in terms of the male categories in different sporting strata, I think the available name that quickly comes to your mind and to your mouth is probably Haruna Quadri or Chukwebuka and Nekwechi. And how feasible will it be for Haruna Quadri winning a gold medal in this year's Paris Olympic game? It's very slim. So then for javelin,
this might also be his last Olympic.
Yeah, and for javelin, Chukwebuka and Nekwechi,
short puts, you mean?
Short puts rather. It could be very difficult. So I'm not expecting anything to change, but then it's a big challenge, for the male counterpart heading into this year's Paris Olympic game. Flipping through the record, discovering that women, they've always taken the lead in terms of, hauling silverware for us in any major tournament, not just in the Olympic, but in all African games as well. The male, we always, pursuing or coming closer to the female, which for me, I think that narrative should change this time around this year. They should go for the goal. At least prove the female wrong once, this time around, so that we could possibly know, yes, we are actually improving. And that is what improvement is all about. When you begin to have, winners in all spheres, not just circling it down to one angle. And when you say, if the female doesn't give us, large number of silverware, then you look as though the male can't do nothing. So for me, I think it behoves on the male team this time around to change that narrative.
Let's see how it goes. Can the male athletes, of course, change that narrative at the Paris Olympic Games for Team Nigeria? We'll see how this one, of course, will go down. The Olympic, we told you, of course, is on. Just that the official opening ceremony will be on Friday, but some games are ongoing at the moment as we speak. For the male under 23 team, some games are ongoing. As you know, we've seen some games already being put up. The game between Argentina and I think yes, Argentina, they actually